Today's video is going to be about a subject that's in the news that was entirely caused by the President of the United States while Robert F. Kennedy, literally the Antichrist, is standing next to him. And no, I'm not taking that back. So we're looking at Google Trends here. Now, Google Trends, you can accuse it of all sorts of things. You can type it down below, just get it out of your system. But if you look up the two keywords, a particular medication and a particular medical problem, you get this graph here. Now, I want to point out something about this. When you do an interest over time Google Trends lookup of terms, especially if you've tamed it a little bit like I have, where I'm really trying hard to get Google not to bury things, because in a nutshell, Google is a company that makes money off of collecting data and then hoarding it and making people pay money for it and advertising. Okay. But in this case, this is something, okay, I might have said this in a previous video, but I really have to emphasize this. This is an excruciatingly abnormal curve. Now, what I mean by that is, for over 2 decades, no one has bothered typing in these two things to search. And I don't say that lightly. This is like if I look up a story about, some UFO and some particular ship like the Nimitz, okay? If I type in UFO Nimitz, I will see spikes at different times because, whatever. But the first one is almost always when the story first existed and people got curious trying to look up a way to corroborate it. People look up things on Google to find out if anybody else is saying the same thing, which you may have done. And the answer is no. Now, I mean that in the most over-the-top, oh my God, I can't believe I'm looking at this. This is not a normal graph. This means that except for something happened that very specifically in April of 2022, this has not been, under any conditions, something that people would look up compared to today. That's a 100-to-1 ratio there. That is not normal. Normally, if you look up specifically this particular medical problem, which I'm not going to say out loud because I want YouTube to leave me the hell alone, and anything, I mean literally that word and peanut butter, I'm not kidding, look it up, you will get a graph that actually shows more instances. What this tells me is, except for our bonehead in chief, people haven't been bringing this up. Now, I don't know if you know about this, but a portion of the population that has to deal with that medical problem as a grown-up or as a child, or the parent or relatives or guardians or whatever, have typed in literally everything and the name for that medical condition, trying to find a connection. Okay? And you'll find someone out there desperately trying to exploit you by making sure you find it. All right? All right. And for the last 20 years until exactly April 20-something in 2022, nobody has bothered to try to exploit, through fear and manipulation, the word, that word there, that medical problem, and this potential cause. Okay? I want you to understand that. Okay? If you find a study from back here in 2015, which is actually something you can find, nobody took it seriously, including people who are grasping at straws because they're literally crying every night about, what do I do to help my baby? Okay, this is the thing. This is an extreme emotional subject, and no one types it in. Okay, I want you to understand that. That's our standpoint. The U.S. and Canada and every place else, okay? Okay. Low search volume regions, etc. It's the United States and Canada, okay? All right. And I can assure you, we're going to look at how much of that is recent or not. Now, we see a spike here, and I said it was April something. It's in April of 2022. So let's go forward a bit. This is me running the thing till 2024, because that's kind of where the spike dug into the dirt, so it went down a bit. So I decided December 31st, 2024, back to the beginning of time here on the internet, which is 2004, oddly enough. And you do see noise about this subject back here spiking in January of 2010. And it has to do with a recall. Several. and continuing suspicion about that medication. All right. But there was an enormous spike exactly in April. Now, if you want to know, you can find out things by just narrowing it down again. So we narrow it down to recent data. And again, we're going to December 2024 and back to April 1st to try to find that spike. So let's, we'll do that in a minute. So here we find that the spike actually happened April 24th, 2022, and then basically dug into the dirt by December of 2024. For 2 years, this subject matter, this medication, and this specific medical problem. Okay, now we're going to look at again the regions was US and Canada. All right, let's see if there's any difference when we zoom in a bit here, like that. It's the United States and Canada, almost the same things, like 100 by 33, and this one was 100 by 25. Okay, now we're going to look at just from April 1st, 2022 to January 1st, 2025. Because, again, on this original curve here, this thing is down in the dirt by December, so I decided to pull it forward to 2025, January. There's our April 24th through 30th, but it is really just April 24th. And then it goes down into the dirt here, December, and there it is. So now we're at this point. When we look up the subject matter, but we go from April 20th to April 30th, 2022, you would think that, with something this bizarrely narrow of a discussion, and we've filtered it, hard filtered, that we should see a small number of valid sources. Okay, some of these are recent, but they're being de-aged. This is something that Google does. It'll cause something when you're demanding to exclude current events, it'll throw them in anyway because Google is trying to make money getting your clicks, okay? So you have to work with that. I'm sorry. Instagram on Spiritual Worlds posting. Reddit under the medical condition. Experience taking such and such, IDs, impact, blah, 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 mechanisms. April 22nd and 23rd in 2022. These are discussions on Reddit. Okay, let's see. This one's re-aged from 7 hours ago. We ignore it entirely. On balance with Leland Verrett. It says it's 2022, April. It's not. This is actually a re-aged video. It's on News Nation. I was hoping they wouldn't do that, but okay, can't use it. A Facebook posting, which is, Facebook is where you get a shit, it's a support group. This is where you get a shit ton of people spreading, we'll call it information for right now. All right? All right. But it doesn't have a time and date stamp, so we skip it. A whisper of the medical subject. Fragile X carriers, April 21st, 2022. Let's go back here again. April 24th. That's the right timing. This was about something unrelated, right? But it was on pages where it was also there so people would type it in. That explains maybe this spike. Or maybe search engines finding the word and running it. Because search engines at the time, if you're not aware of it, search engines, other company search engines, will exploit Google's search engine to get search results for themselves. Because back then we didn't realize it, but in 2022, a lot of search engines on the planet, foreign ones, were running AI and would run lookups. This says that subject and the name of the medication. And when you look it up, is it there? Maybe, and it's HHS. Then we have Splinter Skills, and it shows this. Is this a Facebook post that was from back then? It doesn't have the time and date stamp. Tennessee law helped to save students' lives. President Trump announces, again, this is re-aged, but it says 2022 April. Okay, we're going to go forward. Emerging evidence, blah, 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 associated with blah, 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 reproductive disorders in offspring. Okay, and it's at least 2022. Okay, now I'm going to go back here. Again, here we go. What evidence tells us that the medication and that medical condition, blah, 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 links. And then, of course, this is, again, it says 2022, April 21st, the exact thing we're looking for. The exact thing, we're trying to find out why the hell did this spike, but It was never brought up, and I'm going to point this out. You can type. I'm not kidding. Type in peanut butter and the medical problem that's up there that starts with A on Google Trends. You'll see a different set of curves, maybe. I don't know. I'm going to do it on our video here, but the point is that causes re-aging of stuff that's recent to show up in this. It doesn't help that Google Trends, the page we're looking at, does not let you archive anymore. It gets angry when you try to archive because then you'd have backup copies of these things. I used to make these curve fits and point this sort of thing out. So let's table that. I will leave a link to looking at both words, and it'll have this long string of crap. By the way, Google won't let me archive the results here. Of course not. So let's review. This was a non-issue or a non-subject of looking at this medical problem and this medication. Now I want to point out something. Again, if you look this up, if you type in that medical condition and any medication, you'll get a bunch of spikes. But literally even people who are batshit insane by most people's standards on the internet have not typed in the name of that medication. And this isn't that it was scrubbed or anything. Because back when this popped up, I got asked about it once. I'm not kidding. Someone brought this up, and it was literally two stories on the same page, and someone looked it up, or more accurately, some bot looked it up back in 2022 and caused a spike. So I did a video back then on a channel that's now dead, saying, yeah, this was a bot spike. It was a just answering questions with WebTech, and I just mentioned it to them and put it as a response under their question. And I said, warning, that means the bots are used. It was literally a bot looking it up by accident because they found two keywords, a famous name of a company and a famous medical condition, and started searching, and it created a spike. This spike here that is obviously very angular could have been caused by a bot back then, but it only did that much of a dip. And again, we get back here in 2010, January. And I'll include a search, just like I did here, for 2010 searches for it. But this was caused by something, but when you look it up, again, you don't find it except offhandedly being mentioned on Reddit. And, I mean, there's pages and pages of this stuff. And it's always the same thing. They're talking about both at the same time, but it's unrelated conversation about stuff. And it was just mentioned because it happened to be mentioned because... if you weren't aware of it, maybe you are, hay fever season. Yeah, I'm not kidding. People were discussing at the same time hay fever, so they were taking Tylenol for some reason, and the subject of the medical condition we're not allowed to say on YouTube because we get flagged. Okay? All right. So what I'm saying is, if you see a flat line and the only interest that came up is because of some bonehead comment by a world leader, which has happened before. I've done a couple of videos on this. Okay, but you don't see nothing for 20 years. And no, this isn't YouTube or Google or the powers that be scrubbing anything. This indicates that even people desperately searching for something to blame this on, the medical condition, didn't type this in for 20 damn years, except, again, in 2022, this was a case of hysteria caused by, as far as I could tell at the time, I don't have the video anymore because the channel got erased. At the time, it was caused by bots accidentally looking up various medical compounds and that subject, along with every other subject, creating a cross-reference database by basically stealing data from Google search results. And that's why you've got pages and pages and pages of it that say that they're from just during April, the last 10 days in April in 2022, but they're re-aged things from just this week or 5 minutes ago in a couple of cases. I'll leave all this for you to look at, see how it evolves or devolves. But again, if you see a curve that looks like this, that means there is no precedent for what was said by the president. There's no basis for it. Even the 2015 study that brought this up, that was somewhere around in here, it's not showing up. Because even the people who are desperately trying to cure their children or family members of it or whatever, or are just worried about this, haven't been looking this up for the last 20 years. They haven't. Yes, you'll find someone who said it. They type it in every week or whatever. I understand that. And you can find a couple of studies. I'll link to every one of them I can. But what I'm saying here is this is literally a non-subject, even among the internet itself, that would go out of its way to try to create even a fake connection so that they could sue somebody to get some help that honestly they should be able to get from the medical system in this country to take care of their children. That desperation breeds, well, the willingness to blame everybody and everything. And nobody should be blamed. This is just something that's not how you do it. You see a flat line like this from 2004 to 2025, and the only reason it's trending is because Donald Trump stood next to one of the biggest deniers of medicine and efficacy and science you could have on the stage. Yeah. So all this looks like to me is one of a couple of things. One, I don't even know. I can't find out why the hell he did this. Yes, there's a set of studies, but nobody, not even the people who might be believers, paid attention to them for 20 years. The other thing is somebody's trying to distract everybody from another news story. So what happened very recently, like literally yesterday or the day before, that would cause this to be something Trump needed you to pay attention to? He's telling you not to look behind the curtain. Is that it? Or is it something else? And again, the last time I saw this, I vaguely remember, it's a long time ago, 2022 was a long time ago for me. Sometime during April, I thought it was an April Fool's joke. Someone asked me, can you look this up? And when I looked it up, I didn't see any of this. I saw everything before it showing nothing. This was not a subject matter. And again, you can look up studies from 2015 talking about it, that even the people who are fanatics about that medical condition, looking for anything to blame it on so that they can try to sue somebody to get some help, because that's the only way to get help, even they didn't latch onto it. Think about that for a minute. Just think very slowly about that. A group of people desperate enough to blame peanut butter or whatever the hell they can come up with didn't take advantage of a couple of studies that came out in 2015. Balderdash. So again, this is Trump creating news, not reporting it, creating a distraction or not. You decide. And again, when I'm going to leave a link to this, if you can find out what the hell caused that spike, because again, at the time, I was kind of guessing that it was caused by bots looking up two unrelated things that even activists won't connect, and they found nothing too. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with that. You'll need it. And again, if you know what this is a distraction from out of all the other things, please say so below in the comment section. Good day.